Hey, thanks for being a part of the conversation. This is Play It Forward. Real people, real stories, the struggle to play it forward. Episode number 571 is with actor Jared Harris from the documentary The Ghost of Richard Harris.
I'm well, thank you, Aaron. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for The Ghost of Richard Harris because, you know, your father's legacy was before Entertainment Tonight. We didn't know the man. We didn't get as close as you were to the story, and now you have relinquished it to those of us that have always been fans.
Well, I'm glad you're interested. You know, a lot of people know him obviously from his later work, which is, of course, The Curse of All Artists. And so they see him primarily really as a sort of the first Dumbledore, but he had a massive career before then. And a lot of people are really surprised that he had a very successful singing career as well.
Yes. Well, I was going to bring that up. MacArthur Park. My God. I know exactly where I was when I would play that song on the radio because it was so huge all the time.
Yeah. It took off, that one.
Yeah.
I remember that one, My Boy, Didn't We? I mean, they were all big songs. My Boy was covered by Sinatra and Elvis Presley. So, yeah. He had a big career.
In your own personal life, does that become a part of your lifetime soundtrack as well when you hear songs like that?
I just go straight back in time. It's it's like that. But the black and white swirly background starts, and I get swept up into it.
It was almost like he didn't say no to anything. He was such a giving man.
Yeah, I mean, his reputation was sort of someone who had this massive appetite for life, but he took his work very, very seriously, loved what he did. And, it's weirdly enough, it actually gets harder to do those sorts of things the more successful you are.
Right.
But he always kept in touch with the independent film world. He did a lot of Irish and British independent films throughout his career, heading into the later days. There was always something subversive about his approach to anything, you know. So he was never happy with just doing the taking the sort of tried and tested routes to anything. He was a rule breaker.
Do you think that was the poet coming out in him? Because I love to write, and I challenge myself through my poetry to go out there and take chances. I mean, that writing had to be so important to his soul.
Yeah, he did it throughout his life, and we have about 150 unpublished poems that we've donated all of his writings to Cork University. So one of our projects is to get a second volume of poetry published. Yes, it was very important to him. And going back to the movie, The Ghost of Richard Harris, one of the challenges we faced was obviously we were trying to make it after he passed. So how do we get him to speak in the first person?
Mm-hmm.
And he'd done a series of interviews over the course of his life with an Irish journalist called Joe Jackson. And Joe had really found a way into Dad in terms of getting his trust, earning his trust, because he took the poetry seriously and would discuss the poems as literature, but also as narrative, as a personal narrative of his life. And so he's very frank in these interviews with Joe, and we licensed a very small portion of his archive to use in the film.
Mad Men and The Crown, that was a huge mile marker for you, wasn't it? Sure,
yeah. I mean, Benjamin Button was obviously Benjamin Button led to Mad Men, you know what I mean? And Mad Men led to The Crown. Mad Men led to the Sherlock Holmes films and Binker. So, Mad Men was very significant. But you need breaks in your life, you know?
Oh, you're so right.
You need several. You need more than one.
Did your father teach you that through the art of continuation? Because that's the way it is about being a creative person. Be it on a stage, being in a movie. Everything is connected along the way. There's a storyline there.
I mean, the one piece of advice that he gave me that continues to sort of echo in my mind is careers are about momentum. And you've got to maintain that momentum and keep it going, So sometimes if you can't find the best work, it's just important to find, just to keep just to keep testing yourself. I mean, the example that I always give myself is, the most famous painting in the world is the Mona Lisa.
Yes.
And that was actually just a portrait. When that was how Da Vinci paid for his rent. His passion was in the religious triptychs and in the inventions. But so you never really know where, when you do something that just by accident, you might actually create something that's above and beyond what the expectations were. So it's always just good to keep yourself going.
Listeners need to understand that The Ghost of Richard Harris has some of the most unbelievable scenes with your father in it. I've never seen these before anywhere. And to me, it brings me closer to the storyline because of the authenticity of everything that's going on.
Yeah, we were really lucky. There was a lot of material in his archive that we were able to give to the director. And I know a lot of it's really surprising. There was also a lot of his writings that we went through. So there's some scenes where, all those scenes where we're going through the lockup in the archive, none of that was staged. That was all happening as we were going through it. So
Jared,
we hadn't seen it for a long time.
Let me ask you about that writing, because I'm a daily writer. I've been writing for 29 years, and it has come up in several conversations where people go, well, we'll just burn it when you're being cremated. And I'm going, no, it's not for me. You going into your father's books, what is that like for you? And how important is it that you haven't injured any of that writing?
Wait, did they say they were going to cremate your writings when you were cremated?
Yes.
What was that? What?
In other words, they want to get rid of it as well. And I'm going, you can't do that. It's not yours to get rid of it. It belongs to somebody else.
That's crazy. Yeah. No. No, that would have been terrible. We were always trying to find somewhere to take his writings. I mean, I'd seen a lot of it beforehand, the poetry, but there's a lot there, so we were constantly being surprised by it. And he kept a lot of momentums from his career, early telegrams from Jack Warner and Kirk Douglas and Brando and stuff like that, So, I mean, he kept it. It was important to him. So, yeah, I think that'd be terrible just to go chuck it on the bonfire. That's a dreadful thing to do.
I'm with you.
Whoever, find a different executive for your will.
Yeah, that's right.
If that's what they're saying.
The Ghost of Richard Harris is on Britbox, and I want listeners to understand that Britbox is very easy to find. I went to my smart television, and I was able to get it, and these guys are taking chances with real storytelling. It's such a great connection to entertainment, sir.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we were very lucky that they were interested and they took it on. So we're very excited for the North America to get a chance to see it. It's so far it's been seen in the UK and Ireland only. So this is very exciting for us.
Absolutely. Please come back to the show anytime in the future, Jared. The door is always going to be open for you, sir.
Thank you, Eric.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Okay, I'll do my best.